Hey, what's up there, everybody? Everybody out in YouTube land. I just wanted to bring you a video. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded anything. I've been rather busy. Starting a couple of new ventures here. Thinking about starting a new channel, going back to my roots. For many years I did a lot with computers. Building them, fixing them. Never really did anything on reviewing them or computer parts, only because YouTube is a fairly new thing for that. There's quite a few people now that do that stuff, and it's kind of made me want to get back into it, just to get back to what I used to really enjoy doing. But in this video here, I wanted to explain to you what's going on with this. Well, not really. Explain to you at the same time, and just show you what the new addition is to the house. Right here we have an Ashley Bayfront with extended hopper pellet stove made by U.S. Stove Company. Nice stove. We got this a couple of weeks ago to help offset propane and wood and firewood costs. And so far it's been a pretty welcomed appliance in the house. It does have a pretty good rate of heat output. It doesn't really devour a lot of pellets on low settings, and the maintenance is actually fairly simple with this device. Right now I have it on a start sequence. As you can see, there's no fire, but you can hear the combustion blower is running, and what it's doing now is the auger is feeding pellets into the burn pot, which you can see some smoke now. This model does have an auto ignite feature, when all you do is fill the hopper and turn it on, and it will go through a start sequence, which basically fills the burn pot and automatically lights the pellets. Great feature. Great feature. Most pellet stoves now have that feature, which is great because it makes it a lot easier to get them started. Even though starting pellets is not really that difficult, but having an auto start feature does make it a lot easier. One thing that I really like about this is it's pretty easy to maintain. It's not a very difficult pellet stove to keep cleaned and keep it running at its optimum performance. One thing a lot of people forget about these things is they do need to be cleaned. You know, it's not that much different from a freestanding wood stove that, you know, you have to scoop all the ashes out and discard them. One thing that we really like about the features of this is how long you can let it run before you really need to do anything as far as maintenance goes. Now, at least as far as I can remember, you know, I'm in my 30s, and as far back as being 6-7 years old, I remember almost every weekend in the wintertime we would have wood dropped off in the driveway. We'd have to cut it, split it, stack it, and then burn it. And there was many years of that happening, and now it's just not feasible anymore to rely solely on wood for heat, hot water, and just keeping the house warm in the wintertime. For a long time that was our only source for hot water and for heat. But now we had an opportunity to make a few changes where we added some comfort creatures, or creature comforts, whatever the hell you want to call it. We got a propane tankless boiler, propane tankless water heater. We still have the wood stove for them very cold days, and we also added this pellet stove. So it does make life a little bit easier, especially having redundant sources of heat. You know, when it's really cold, we will run the pellet stove. Yeah, see there, I got my hand in front of the stove now. The room heater just turned on. And it's nice because the pellet stove will run It'll keep the basement warm, takes the chill out of the house, and when it's really cold, we'll light the wood stove. And that'll really make the house nice and warm. And then, if it's just really cold where the demand is that extreme, or, in the middle of the night the wood stove goes out or the pellet stove runs out of pellets, or, somebody's not home and there's no other heat sources running, the tankless propane boiler kicks in and that maintains the temperature at whatever the thermostat's set for. So it's really nice. It's nice to have redundant sources of heat. And also, if the power goes out, especially for extended periods, we do have a backup generator, an 8,500 watt standby portable generator, and it'll run the house. We have a interlock kit installed on the breaker panel and a power inlet box on the outside of the house, so it's just a simple run it to it, plug it in, start it, and then I can maintain the breakers from there. So between that, having redundant sources of heat is a really good thing. But if, for instance, if the power goes out and it's only out for a few hours, or we're just getting ready to go to bed, I'm not going to hook the generator up for that just to stay up with it when I'm only going to be going to bed anyway. So the wood stove is great for that because it'll maintain heat in the house, and it doesn't need electricity because it's a real wood stove. It's not these crappy wood stoves that they make today with the pretty windows in them like this pellet stove has. Now, I understand the pellet stove, they operate a little bit differently, but a wood stove does not need a glass window. It doesn't need to look pretty. It's the wood stove that we have is the old style where they're the 1/4 inch thick boiler plate. Not cast iron. The doors are cast iron, but everything else is boilerplate, and they are heavy. They're like 500-600 pounds. Big, heavy-duty wood stoves. Yeah, so we decided to add in this pellet stove to add a third source of heat, and so far it's been working pretty good. Right now we're running pellets through it from Home Depot, whatever their brand is, the green, they say green on the bag. They're pretty large, low ash, less than 1%, and they do have low ash. There's not a lot of ash with these pellets, and so far they're not too bad with the heat output. The heat output seems to be pretty optimal. Cleaning pellet stoves is not really that hard. Every pellet stove needs to be cleaned. Every wood stove needs to be cleaned. Depending on the type and style will determine your approach for that. Now this one I had just cleaned it, and that's why I figured I'd show you the start sequence, the burn sequence, all that fun stuff. As you can see now, earlier in the video you saw the fire was really tall and it looked pretty vigorous, and now it's really low. It does that, from what I can see, that's the way that these things operate. They'll start, when they first start, the pot fills up a lot with a lot of pellets, and then once it ignites, it burns most of them up, and then the auger keeps feeding, and as it does, the fire will raise and lower, but it'll, depending on the heat setting, it will maintain that specific burn pattern. Now I have the heat setting turned all the way up on this one right now just to get it lit and get the basement warmed up. But the lower the setting, the less the fire will be. Normally it's not this low. This is just, I don't know why it's doing this. But I also wanted to record this because this pellet stove gets loud. It gets very, very loud. You could actually hear it running upstairs because right now it's in the basement. And you could hear the pellet stove fire up. When the room blower kicks into full speed, you can hear it. It's loud, but well worth it. Well worth it. So once this fire kicks up a little bit here. Now I'm not actually recording, or I'm not actually speaking while I'm sitting next to the stove. This is a voiceover part, but I didn't want to cut out the audio from the original video, so I'm going to leave that there. I'll give you a little listen here to the stove, what it sounds like. I'll shut up for a second. You see, that's the burn pot. See the pellets dropping down the chute there. That's fly ash, all that stuff flying around. That's what that's called. I think they call it fly ash because it flies around the burn chamber. Okay, you see the fire is increasing. The firebox is at temperature now, and now you're going to hear the room blower turn on. There you have it. I hear a little bit of wind noise on the microphone. Okay, that's the room temperature. You can see the heat setting is all the way up, and the two lights are not blinking on the LCD panel there, or the LED panel rather. They are indicating that it is flame has been proven and it's at temperature. Alright YouTube, this was my video on the Ashley Bayfront Pellet Stove with extended hopper made by US Stove Company. Stay tuned, I'm going to have more videos and a little bit of an update once I get my new channel up and running. Be sure to stop on over and check that out. Alright guys.